Galactic Empire never had war with humans before, so we warned them. Run, the stars stretched endlessly across the void, twinkling like tiny promises of unknown worlds. The human ship Pioneer drifted through the silent expanse, its engines humming softly as it navigated a region of space untouched by most civilizations. Commander Alara Voss stood on the bridge, her sharp eyes scanning the displays in front of her. Every sensor flickered with data from the surrounding systems. And yet, despite the quiet, she felt the tension of the unknown pressing against her chest. Humanity had grown far beyond Earth, spreading its colonies across the stars, yet they had done so carefully, quietly, always watching, always preparing. They had never sought war, but they had also never underestimated it. "Commander," said Lieutenant Rin, a young officer with a keen mind for strategy, "the Empire's patrol routes are changing. They're moving faster than usual." Alara frowned. The Galactic Empire was vast, ancient, and considered nearly unassailable. They ruled hundreds of star systems, absorbing planets peacefully through negotiation or through subtle intimidation. They had never fought humans before. They had never needed to, and now it seemed they were stirring. "Faster?" Alara asked, leaning over the console. "How fast?" "Approximately 30% faster than the last 6 months average," Rin replied, his voice steady but tense. "It's subtle but consistent." Alara's eyes narrowed. Subtle movements often meant careful planning. Subtle movements often meant danger. "Prepare a full scan of the Empire's fleet movements," she ordered. "We need to know if this is routine or something more." Meanwhile, in the ship's engineering bay, Dr. Kale Marn adjusted the settings on a series of drones. The small machines hovered silently, their sensors blinking as they calibrated themselves to the surrounding starfield. Kale was a genius, a mind that had designed adaptive AI drones capable of learning enemy tactics in real time. Humans had always relied on creativity, on thinking in ways other species did not. Kale smiled as he watched the drones respond to the data. They were learning already, even without encountering the Empire directly. Alara walked into the engineering bay, her boots clicking against the metal floor. "Kale," she said, "I need your assessment. Are we ready if the Empire decides to test us?" Kale looked up, brushing a strand of dark hair from his eyes. "They've never fought humans before," he said. "They don't understand us. That's our advantage. But if they come, we need to show them we are not the weak species they think we are." Alara nodded. "Then let's make sure they understand before it's too late." Back on the bridge, the sensors flickered as new data came in. Patterns emerged from the streams of information, revealing a picture that made Alara's stomach tighten. The Empire was expanding its fleet into human-controlled space. They were doing it quietly, carefully, as though testing the waters. Humans had long avoided open conflict, preferring diplomacy and stealth, but this was different. This was a potential first strike disguised as routine expansion. Alara tapped her comms. "Send a message to the Council. Inform them that the Empire is moving fleets into our territory. Advise caution and readiness. And inform them that humans are not to be underestimated." The message traveled faster than light, a tiny pulse of human defiance in the galaxy's vast silence. While the Empire had never needed to fight humans before, humanity had always been prepared to fight if provoked. They were clever, adaptable, and relentless when their survival was at stake. Days passed as the Pioneer continued its silent observation. Each report from scouts added to the growing picture. The Empire was not moving randomly. Every fleet, every patrol, every adjustment in their path had purpose. Humans were patient and they watched, learning. They cataloged every tactic the Empire used, every formation, every pattern of communication. And they prepared. One evening, as the Pioneer drifted near the outer edge of a star cluster, Rin approached Alara with concern written on his face. "Commander," he said, "we've intercepted transmissions." They're discussing the human anomaly. They don't understand us and they're starting to underestimate us. Alara's eyes darkened. Underestimation is dangerous, she said quietly. They think we are predictable. They think we are weak. We will show them they are wrong. In the quiet of her quarters, Alara reviewed the data again. She thought about the billions of humans across countless worlds, each colony thriving despite isolation, each citizen relying on intelligence, cooperation, and courage to survive. Humans had never sought conflict, yet their strength lay in their unpredictability. No other species had ever truly understood that. Kale entered the quarters with a tablet in hand. "I've been running simulations," he said. "Even if the Empire sends a full fleet, we have the ability to disrupt their strategy. We can adapt faster than they can predict. Our drones can learn their movements in real time. They won't see it coming." Alara smiled faintly. "That's exactly why we must warn them. If they understand who they are dealing with, maybe we can avoid unnecessary bloodshed." And so, the humans sent their formal warning, a message carried on secure channels to the heart of the Galactic Empire. "We are aware of your movements. You have never fought humans before. We advise caution. We are not weak. Do not test us." The message was simple, direct, and unyielding. It was a statement of confidence, a reflection of humanity's core belief, that intelligence, courage, and unity were weapons as powerful as any fleet or superweapon. The Empire's response was what humans expected: laughter. Reports from human scouts showed the Empire's council discussing the message with amusement. They had never needed to fight humans before. Why would they start now? Humans were clever, yes, but insignificant on a galactic scale. The council waved off the warning as bravado, but humans were patient. They had learned long ago that patience was a weapon. They would continue to observe, continue to prepare, and continue to demonstrate that their ingenuity could not be ignored. In the following weeks, subtle skirmishes began at the edges of human space. Small Empire patrols entered human-controlled sectors, testing defenses, probing for weaknesses. Humans responded carefully, allowing minor engagements to teach them how the Empire moved in combat, all while keeping losses minimal. Each encounter was a lesson, a preparation for what might come. Commander Alara Voss watched these skirmishes with a steady gaze. Every maneuver, every retreat, every defensive tactic was catalogued, analyzed, and stored. Humans were not reckless, they were deliberate. Every action had a purpose. Dr. Kale Marn's drones were active in every skirmish, learning, adapting, and evolving. They predicted enemy maneuvers, creating small but effective traps. Even a small human fleet could manipulate the Empire's forces, causing confusion and frustration. Reports of these engagements reached the Empire, causing murmurs of concern. Humans were not like other species. They were clever, unpredictable, and relentless. Alara and Kale often met in the planning room discussing strategies late into the night. "They're starting to notice," Kale said one evening. "Our tactics are making them second-guess themselves. They can't predict what we will do next." Alara nodded. "Exactly. And that is the point. They may have never fought humans before, but they will remember us if they try." The message had been clear. Humans did not seek war, but they were prepared to defend themselves. And for the first time in the Empire's history, a species they considered manageable was showing signs of resistance that could not be ignored. As the Pioneer drifted among the stars, humans across countless worlds prepared quietly but confidently. Colonies reinforced defenses, fleets underwent training exercises, and engineers like Kale worked tirelessly to improve adaptive technology. Humanity had always survived by thinking, learning, and innovating. Now, they were ready to show the galaxy exactly what that meant. Alara stood on the observation deck looking out at the countless stars. Somewhere out there, the Empire moved, confident in their superiority. But humans had a secret weapon that no amount of fleets or councils could erase: their ingenuity. their courage, their unity. The warning had been sent. The Empire had laughed, but humans were patient. And when the time came, they would prove that even the oldest, largest, and most confident civilizations could not underestimate the human spirit. The stars seemed to pulse around the pioneer, as if in agreement. Humans were small in number compared to the Empire, but their minds were vast. Their hearts were strong, and they had never been predictable. Ilara whispered to herself, a quiet vow in the silence of space. We are ready. We will not be conquered. We will not be forgotten. In the void beyond human space, the Empire continued its careful movements, unaware that the galaxy was about to learn a lesson it had never anticipated. Humanity did not seek war. But if the Empire forced it, humans would respond, not with panic, not with fear, but with every ounce of creativity, intelligence, and courage that had carried their species across the stars. And so, the stage was set. The first warning had been given. The humans waited, patient but prepared, knowing that when the Empire finally realized the truth, it would be too late to retreat. For the first time, the galaxy would see humans not as clever negotiators, not as manageable subjects, but as a force to be reckoned with. And the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, watching, waiting, and shining for a species that had never been predictable, and never would be. The human colonies were quiet, but beneath that calm surface, preparations were underway. Commander Ilara Voss moved from one colony to another, her presence both a reassurance and a reminder that humans had always been ready for what the galaxy might throw at them. Every settlement she visited had increased its security, updated its defense systems, and trained local fleets to act independently if necessary. Humans were not just survivors, they were learners, thinkers, and planners. In the colony of Aurora Prime, a young pilot named Lena Dre ran simulations in the training room. The holographic display projected waves of Empire ships, their formations rigid and predictable. Lena maneuvered her craft through the digital maelstrom, testing new tactics devised by the Human Strategic Council. Each simulation taught her something new: how to exploit blind spots, how to anticipate movements, and how to turn a disadvantage into an advantage. Ilara watched her from the observation deck. You're learning quickly, she said, but remember, simulations are nothing like reality. Out there, mistakes have consequences. Lena nodded. I understand, Commander, but simulations help us think faster than they do. That's the human advantage. Ilara smiled faintly. Humans had always adapted. It was a survival trait honed over centuries, through wars on Earth, through exploration, and now across the stars. The Galactic Empire might have size, fleets, and resources, but humans had creativity, courage, and unpredictability. Meanwhile, Dr. Kale Marn worked in the laboratories of Aurora Prime. His adaptive drones had begun to evolve beyond initial expectations. Each minor engagement with Empire patrols had provided data, teaching the drones how to anticipate formations, predict attacks, and suggest new strategies to human commanders. The technology was more than just tools. It was an extension of human ingenuity. Ilara, Kale said, looking up from his console, the Empire is predictable, but they're starting to notice anomalies in our defenses. They're analyzing every move we make. Ilara leaned against the railing. Good, they should. It will make them overconfident. We'll teach them patience. Humans are not reckless, we are deliberate. They'll learn that the hard way. The Empire's patrols were growing more frequent, yet strangely, they avoided direct conflict. Humans suspected they were testing defenses, looking for weaknesses without fully committing. Ilara considered this carefully. It was a psychological tactic, one humans had studied and anticipated. If the Empire believed humans were weaker than they truly were, they would make mistakes. Humans could exploit that. Reports from human scouts indicated unusual activity near the Solaria sector, a human-controlled region known for its dense asteroid fields. The Empire was deploying several patrols in a pattern that suggested reconnaissance rather than aggression. Alara and Kale studied the data. "They're trying to map our responses," Kale said. "They want to understand how we think, how we move." "But they won't succeed. They don't understand us," Alara nodded. "We'll let them continue. Every observation they make will be a lesson we can use later." Across human colonies, messages circulated from the central command. Humans were learning to anticipate the Empire's moves before they occurred. Communication networks ensured that no colony was isolated, that every fleet, station, and settlement could share insights instantaneously. Humanity had turned coordination into a weapon, a demonstration that intelligence and unity often outweighed raw numbers. In the skies above Aurora Prime, small skirmishes began. Empire scouts tested human defenses, attacking isolated outposts and retreating before significant damage occurred. Humans allowed this intentionally. Each engagement was a lesson, teaching them fleet coordination, response times, and enemy patterns. Lena Dre led a small squadron, maneuvering her craft through asteroid fields to flank a group of Empire ships. They used the terrain to hide their movements, striking swiftly before retreating. It was a dance of strategy and timing, one that had been rehearsed countless times in simulations but perfected in the field. Afterward, Lena and her team debriefed. "They didn't expect that," she said, excitement bright in her eyes. "We used the environment perfectly. We confused them without losing anyone." Alara nodded. "Exactly. The Empire thinks they understand humans, but we adapt. We learn, we innovate. That is why they have never fought us before, and why, if they try, they will regret it." Meanwhile, Kale monitored the drones during these engagements. They moved autonomously, adjusting to the enemy's strategies in real time. Data flowed back to command centers, informing humans of weaknesses in the Empire's formations. Each skirmish provided insight, each engagement strengthened human preparedness. But humans were careful not to appear aggressive. They did not seek war. They prepared, they learned, they adapted, but they always maintained the message that humanity wished for peace. Alara's personal communicator buzzed. It was a message from the Galactic Empire, a single envoy requesting a meeting. The holographic figure appeared, tall and alien, its skin shimmering like liquid metal. "Commander Alara Voss," the envoy said. "Your species has made waves in our calculations. We observe, and yet you defy predictability. We wish to understand your intentions." Alara studied the figure calmly. "Our intentions are simple," she replied. "We do not seek conflict. We wish to live, to grow, and to protect our own, but we will not allow our people to be threatened." The envoy's eyes narrowed. "You are clever, humans, but we have never faced a species like yours. Do not misunderstand, we are the Galactic Empire. We absorb, we integrate, and we maintain order. Your warnings amuse us." Alara's gaze did not waver. "Amusement is fine. Underestimation is dangerous." The envoy considered this, then nodded slowly. "We will continue to observe. Your species is unique." The transmission ended, leaving Alara and her team in thoughtful silence. Humanity had made its point. The Empire was beginning to notice that humans were not ordinary, that intelligence, adaptability, and courage could rival fleets in power. As the weeks passed, reports came from other sectors. Humans were using the Empire's own tactics against them, creating decoys, setting traps, and maneuvering fleets in unexpected ways. Every engagement, no matter how small, strengthened human knowledge. Every skirmish reminded the galaxy that humans were not predictable. In the council chambers of human space, leaders gathered. Maps of the galaxy glowed on holographic tables, marked with fleet positions, patrol routes, and data from recent encounters. Alara spoke with calm authority. "Our goal remains clear," she said. "We do not provoke. We do not attack unless necessary, but we will learn from every movement the Empire makes. Every patrol they send is a lesson. Every tactic they use is an opportunity. Humanity must remain prepared, united, and ready. A young officer spoke up. "Commander, the Empire is observing more frequently. Could they be planning something?" Alara considered this carefully. "Possibly, but they have never fought humans before. They do not understand the consequences of underestimating us. If they move against us, they will find they are not dealing with a species that can be conquered by numbers or force alone. Our strength lies in our mind, our adaptability, and our courage. That is our advantage." At night, in the quiet of Aurora Prime, Alara walked along the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly, each one a reminder of the vastness of space and the opportunities it held. Somewhere out there, the Empire moved, confident in its superiority. But humans had patience, they had preparation, they had ingenuity, and above all, they had courage. Lena Dre trained late into the night, her simulations now including tactics that anticipated Empire reactions. Each successful maneuver brought a thrill, not because she sought conflict, but because she was learning, improving, and preparing to defend her people if necessary. Humans had always thrived in challenges, and this was only the beginning. Dr. Kale Marn studied his drones, making adjustments to improve their adaptability. "They will never predict what we can do," he said to Alara, who stood beside him. "And that is how we will remain safe." Alara nodded. "It is not fear that protects us, Kale. It is preparation. It is learning. It is the courage to stand against the unknown and refuse to be intimidated. That is humanity." The Empire's movements continued, their patrols more frequent, their assessments more careful. They had begun to realize that humans were not like other species. Humans did not react predictably. Humans did not fear. Humans adapted and learned faster than any calculation could predict. In the months that followed, the outer colonies became laboratories for strategy. Every engagement, every observation, every test strengthened human resolve. They practiced patience, intelligence, and coordination, proving again and again that humans were not ordinary. Alara stood on the bridge of the Pioneer, looking out into the darkness. The Empire was out there, confident, yet slowly beginning to sense that something was different. Humans were small in numbers, yes, but vast in mind. They could not be underestimated. They would not bow. And humanity's message to the galaxy remained the same: we do not seek war. But we are prepared. We are clever, united, and resilient. Do not underestimate us. Do not test us. The stars twinkled in silence, as if acknowledging the quiet power of a species that had never been predictable and never would be. Humans were learning, growing, and preparing. And one day, if the Empire pressed too far, they would show the galaxy exactly what it meant to challenge a species that had never known defeat when cleverness and courage guided every action. The first skirmishes had ended. The Empire had observed, and humanity had learned. The game was beginning, and humans were already several moves ahead. The calm of human space was shattered one morning by a message from the outer scouts. The Galactic Empire had sent a fleet far larger than any patrol, moving silently through subspace lanes toward the human colonies. Commander Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Pioneer, staring at the display as fleet positions appeared one by one. Their size, formation, and speed were designed to intimidate, to overwhelm, but humans had seen fleets before. They had prepared for this moment, and they would not falter. "Commander," Lieutenant Rin said, his voice tight but controlled, "the Empire fleet is entering the Aurora cluster. Estimated time to engagement, 23 hours. Alara nodded. "Inform all colony leaders. Every ship, station, and fleet must be on alert. Kale, make sure the drones are ready. We cannot afford surprises." Kale, already at his station, smiled faintly. "They won't know what hit them. We've been preparing for this." Across the colonies, human fleets mobilized. Small ships moved swiftly, forming defensive grids around the larger vessels. Fighters and cruisers were stationed in strategic locations, taking advantage of asteroid belts, planetary rings, and nebulae to mask their movements. Humans did not have the Empire's numbers, but they had strategy, adaptability, and creativity, qualities the Empire had never encountered in a species they considered insignificant. Alara reviewed the tactical simulations once more. The Empire would likely expect humans to scatter, to retreat, or to surrender. But humans were not predictable. They would not follow the rules the Empire assumed they would. Hours later, the first ships of the Empire entered the outermost sector of the Aurora cluster. Sensors detected hundreds of cruisers, each armed with weapons designed to destroy fleets in minutes. Yet humans did not panic. They had studied these ships, studied their formations, and prepared counters. Lena Dre led a squadron of interceptors through a dense asteroid field, weaving between rocks and debris to avoid detection. Their mission was simple: observe, harass, and gather intelligence while minimizing direct engagement. Humans knew that survival was not about fighting every battle. It was about learning, adapting, and using clever tactics to exploit weaknesses. As they moved, Lena's comms crackled. All units maintain formation. Watch for flanking maneuvers. The Empire is overconfident. They won't expect adaptability. Indeed, the Empire moved rigidly, expecting humans to behave predictably. They had never fought a species that could think, improvise, and anticipate simultaneously. This overconfidence would be their first mistake. Back on the Pioneer, Alara studied the enemy's approach. Kale, initiate drone reconnaissance. I want live updates on every ship in that fleet. The drones launched silently, tiny specks against the vastness of space. They moved with speed and precision, slipping between patrols, scanning shields, weapons, and formations. Each drone fed back information in real time, creating a constantly updating picture of the enemy's strength and weaknesses. The Empire fleet is moving as expected, Kale reported. They rely on sheer numbers. Their formations are rigid. If we disrupt even a few key ships, the chain reaction will create confusion. Alara's lips curved into a faint smile. Then that is what we will do. Remember, they underestimate humans. They assume fear, but they will find only ingenuity. The first engagement began near a dense asteroid field. Empire cruisers fired long-range missiles, attempting to flush out the human ships hiding among the rocks. Lena's squadron darted between asteroids, launching precise countermeasures that deflected attacks while remaining invisible to the enemy's sensors. "Commander," Lena said over comms, "they're adjusting their formation. They're trying to corner us." Alara studied the display. "Let them use the terrain. Lead them toward the trap we set in the Beta Nebula. Timing is everything. Patience will be our ally." As the Empire ships followed, the humans sprung their plan. Drones disrupted communications between the fleet's cruisers, causing delays in orders. Smaller human ships moved rapidly, flanking from unexpected angles, attacking weak points in the enemy's formation. Explosions flashed across the display as the Empire realized too late that humans had predicted their every move. "This is incredible," Lena said, eyes wide. "They didn't expect this," Alara remained calm. "They assume we are predictable. They are learning, but too slowly. Keep the pressure, but avoid overextension. We do not fight recklessly." Even as the battle intensified, humans maintained a focus beyond simple combat. They were teaching lessons, gathering data, and strengthening defenses. Every maneuver, every counterattack, every adaptation improved human knowledge. They had prepared for this day, and they were proving that preparation was far more powerful than blind strength. Hours passed. Empire cruisers, frustrated by their inability to gain decisive advantage, began to overextend. Lena led a squadron into the rear flank, targeting the command cruisers. With precise strikes guided by Kale's drones, they forced the fleet to break formation. Chaos rippled through the Empire ranks. Alara observed quietly, issuing calm orders. Focus on disruption, not destruction. We need them confused, not annihilated. Every mistake they make is data for us. The Empire was beginning to understand that humans were not ordinary. Humans did not flee. Humans did not panic. Humans adapted, learned, and responded with ingenuity that could not be predicted by calculations or statistics alone. On the human side, the casualties were minimal. The fleets had avoided unnecessary risks, using terrain, drones, and precise strikes to control the engagement. Every ship that moved, every attack that landed, was deliberate and purposeful. Humans fought not with brute force but with intelligence and creativity. As the battle drew to a close, the Empire began to withdraw. Their ships had suffered minor losses, their formations were disrupted, and confusion reigned. Messages from the fleet reported the unexpected resilience and strategy of the humans. Across the Empire, commanders whispered in disbelief. This was not a species to conquer easily. Alara allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. They have learned a small lesson, she said, and yet this is only the beginning. We do not seek war, but if it comes, humans will be ready. Across the colonies, celebrations were quiet but heartfelt. Humans had survived the first real test against the Galactic Empire. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could overcome even a numerically superior enemy. Dr. Kale Marn monitored the drones as they returned from the battlefield. Each had gathered invaluable data, improving strategies and revealing weaknesses in the Empire's approach. They will not expect our next moves, he said, smiling. They still think humans are predictable. Alara nodded. Predictable, perhaps. But only if they fail to see the truth. Humans think differently. We learn, we adapt, we survive, and we will not bow. In the aftermath, the Empire sent a new envoy, requesting parley once more. They were cautious now, their amusement replaced with a measure of respect and fear. Alara received the message and activated the holographic communicator. The envoy appeared, its metallic skin reflecting the starlight. "Commander Voss," it said carefully, "your species fights with unexpected precision. We underestimated you. That was a mistake." Alara's gaze was steady. "It is not underestimation that will save you next time. It is understanding. Learn from this engagement. Humanity is not weak. We are clever, united, and prepared. And if provoked, we will defend ourselves with everything we have." The envoy hesitated, then nodded. "Your warning is noted. The Empire will reconsider its approach." Alara ended the transmission. She turned to her team. "They have seen our capability. They understand now that humans are not ordinary. Let this be a message to every corner of the galaxy. Underestimate humans and you do so at your peril." Lena and her squadron gathered for debriefing. "Commander," she said, "we did more than survive. We made them rethink everything." Alara smiled faintly. "That is the human way. We do not fight to conquer. We fight to survive, to learn, and to show the galaxy who we are. Every challenge makes us stronger." As night fell over Aurora Prime, humans across the stars looked to the sky with quiet pride. They had faced the first real test from the Empire, and they had excelled. The galaxy was vast, full of civilizations that considered themselves superior, but humanity had proven that intelligence, courage, and adaptability could challenge even the oldest and largest empires. In her quarters, Alara reflected on the day's events. The first contact with war had shown humanity at its best, calm under pressure, strategic in every move, and fearless in the face of uncertainty. They had taught the Empire a lesson that would not be forgotten. Dr. Kale Marn entered, holding a tablet with updated simulations. "They are analyzing our tactics now," he said. "But every analysis will only show part of the picture. Humans do not act the way other species do. We are unpredictable, clever, and relentless." "They will learn, but it may already be too late," Alara nodded. We have made our point. Humans are not to be underestimated, and now we prepare for the future. Because the Empire will return, and when it does, we must be ready. Outside, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging the human achievement. Humanity had survived the first real test. They had adapted, learned, and triumphed not with sheer power, but with intelligence, strategy, and courage. And in the quiet of space, among the endless stars, humans proved once again that they were a species unlike any other. They did not seek war, but if war came, they would face it head-on, with every tool, every mind, and every ounce of courage they possessed. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of what humans could do, and it would not forget. The victory of the humans against the initial Empire fleet had sent ripples across the galaxy. While the Empire had previously treated humanity as a minor curiosity, commanders now hesitated, counselors debated, and envoys approached with caution. It was the first time any civilization had made the Empire doubt its own calculations. Humans had shown not only courage but an intelligence that could not be quantified. Commander Ilara Voss stood in the command hall of Aurora Prime, reviewing incoming reports. Every colony, every fleet, and every outpost had sent data from the first engagement. Humans had suffered very few losses while successfully confusing, outmaneuvering, and partially defeating a fleet far larger than their own. It was a remarkable achievement, but Ilara knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would not forget. "Commander," Lieutenant Rin said, approaching her, "Empire sensors report that their fleets are moving more cautiously. They're consulting new commanders and adjusting strategies. They've never seen humans behave this way before." Ilara nodded. "Good. Let them think. Humans are patient. Every move we make now teaches them about us. They are learning slowly, too slowly." Across human space, Dr. Kale Marn worked tirelessly in his laboratory. His adaptive drones had collected enormous amounts of data during the first engagement. Each drone now analyzed patterns, predicted potential attacks, and suggested maneuvers that would exploit weaknesses in the Empire's formations. Kale smiled faintly as he studied the results. Humans were learning faster than any enemy could anticipate. "They are predictable if you follow the rules they think exist," he said aloud. "But humans do not follow rules. We improvise, we adapt, and that makes all the difference." Ilara watched as simulations played out on the holographic table before her. Every possible move the Empire could make was analyzed. Every weakness, every miscalculation, every rigid strategy was catalogued. Humans had learned that patience, preparation, and creativity were far more effective than brute force. Meanwhile, in the wider galaxy, the Empire's council met in secrecy. They had begun to realize that humans were not just clever, they were unpredictable. Reports of the engagement in the Aurora cluster were spread across fleets and command centers. Every officer who had faced humans spoke of their ingenuity, their adaptability, and their unwillingness to submit. The council was unsettled. "We cannot rely on our usual methods," one Imperial counselor said, his voice tense. "Humans do not react as other species do. They adapt, they learn, they improvise. Any standard fleet operation may fail." Another counselor argued, "Perhaps they were lucky. One engagement does not define an entire species." But the first counselor shook his head. This was not luck. Humans plan, they analyze, and they exploit weaknesses we cannot see. Underestimating them again would be a grave mistake. Back in human space, small fleets continued reconnaissance missions, testing the Empire's reactions while remaining careful not to provoke direct conflict. Humans were masters of preparation. They studied, they simulated, and they adapted. Every movement of the Empire fleet became a lesson in strategy. In the skies above Aurora Prime, Lena Dre led her squadron in a controlled skirmish designed to further confuse the Empire. The humans used asteroid belts, planetary rings, and nebulae to mask their movements, striking in unexpected ways and retreating before the enemy could respond. "Commander," Lena reported over comms, "they're adapting slowly. They are trying to anticipate us, but they're still following patterns we predicted." "Good," Alara replied. "Keep the pressure, but do not overcommit. Every mistake they make is information for us." Doctor. Kale Marn monitored the drones as they flew through the battle zone, adjusting positions and updating algorithms in real time. "They cannot predict humans because humans do not think the way other species do," he said. "Every engagement makes us stronger and them slower." In the council halls of human space, leaders debated the next steps. Diplomacy, defense, and strategy were all discussed. Humans did not seek war, but they understood the importance of demonstrating capability. Their goal was simple: to ensure that no species, no matter how powerful, underestimated them again. Alara addressed the council. "The Empire is beginning to understand that humans are not ordinary. They see our courage, our intelligence, and our adaptability. But we must not assume they will act recklessly. We continue to prepare, to learn, and to demonstrate our capabilities without provoking unnecessary conflict. Humans survive through foresight and unity, not through brute force alone." While humans prepared, the Empire became increasingly cautious. Envoys approached human colonies with offers of negotiation, observing fleets from a distance and attempting to learn more about the humans' capabilities. But humans remained calm, using these interactions to gather information while maintaining the message that they were capable of defense, but not seeking war. One of the envoys, a metallic-skinned being named Viral, arrived at Aurora Prime. Its appearance was imposing, its voice formal and precise. "Commander Voss," it said, "your species is unlike any we have encountered. You do not behave as expected. You adapt too quickly. You survive when others would fall. We wish to understand your intentions." Ilara regarded Viral calmly. "We intend to live, to grow, and to protect our people. We do not seek conflict, but we will defend ourselves if provoked. Humans are clever, adaptable, and united. We hope you will respect that, but if you do not, you will find that underestimation has consequences." Viral's eyes narrowed, and it seemed to study her carefully. "Your warning has been noted, but the Empire has never feared humans before. You are unusual." Alara's gaze remained steady. "Unusual enough to survive. Unusual enough to teach those who do not take caution. That is all you need to know." As the envoy departed, Kale turned to Alara. "They're cautious now. They've started to realize we are not predictable and that their old strategies will not work. They may rethink everything before attacking again." Alara nodded. "And that is exactly what we need. Humans do not fight recklessly. We prepare, we adapt, and we survive. Every engagement teaches the galaxy a lesson. The Empire is learning that humans cannot be treated like any other species." In the following weeks, humans across the colonies engaged in strategic exercises disguised as routine maneuvers. Small skirmishes, simulated attacks, and reconnaissance missions were all carefully designed to teach, test, and prepare. Humans perfected their coordination, improved fleet mobility, and strengthened defenses. Every citizen, from fleet commanders to engineers, understood the importance of adaptation and intelligence. Lena Dre continued to lead her squadron through training and minor engagements. She became a symbol of human ingenuity, quick thinking, brave, and clever. Her maneuvers, designed to confuse and outsmart the enemy, were studied by every fleet commander and copied wherever possible. Alara worked tirelessly, visiting colonies, reviewing strategies, and ensuring that every sector was prepared for potential escalation. She did not seek war, but she understood that the Empire might force humanity's hand. Humans had always survived against long odds by thinking differently, and now the galaxy was beginning to notice. Dr. Kale Marn's drones had become more sophisticated, predicting enemy formations and suggesting counter-strategies. Each skirmish, even minor, was a chance for improvement. Humans had turned learning into a weapon, showing that intelligence could match and sometimes exceed brute force. One evening, as Alara reviewed the latest reports, a message arrived from the Empire Council. It was careful, diplomatic, and tinged with caution. Humans had impressed, surprised, and unsettled the galaxy's most powerful civilization. The message read, "Commander Voss, your species is unlike any we have encountered. We wish to proceed cautiously. Any aggressive action may provoke outcomes you cannot anticipate. We acknowledge your capabilities and advise further communication to avoid unnecessary conflict." Alara read the message silently. A faint smile crossed her lips. Humanity had not sought this recognition, but it was a natural consequence of their abilities. Intelligence, courage, adaptability, and unity had made them formidable in a way the Empire had never predicted. She addressed her team. "They understand now. Humans cannot be ignored or underestimated, but we continue to prepare. We learn, we adapt, and we remain ready for whatever comes next. That is how humans survive." In the quiet of space, across the colonies, humans trained, strategized, and coordinated. Every ship, every pilot, every drone became part of a greater system, a network of intelligence and preparation. Humans were not just defending their colonies, they were demonstrating to the galaxy that their ingenuity was unmatched. Lena Dre completed another training simulation, her squadron moving flawlessly through simulated enemy formations. She turned to her team, smiling. "They think they understand us, but they have no idea. We're always learning, always adapting, and always ready." Alara stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The Empire had begun to respect humans, not because of fear, but because they had finally recognized intelligence, courage, and unity when they saw it. Humans did not need to strike first to make their presence known. Their preparedness, strategy, and adaptability spoke volumes. And so humanity waited, patient and ready. The Empire had learned that humans were not ordinary, not predictable, and not weak. Every movement, every maneuver, every act of preparation reinforced the truth. Humans survived through intellect, courage, and unity. The stars themselves seemed to acknowledge it. Across the galaxy, humans were quietly proving a point that no empire could ignore. Underestimation could be deadly, overconfidence could fail, and cleverness, patience, and preparation could triumph where brute force could not. Alara whispered to herself as the galaxy lay silent around her. "Humans do not seek war, but when the galaxy tests us, it will see that we are ready, always clever, always human." The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. After months of careful observation, strategic skirmishes, and subtle demonstrations of human ingenuity, the Galactic Empire faced a truth it had never considered. Humans were clever, adaptable, and courageous. They did not fear, they did not falter, and they could learn faster than any prediction algorithm the Empire had devised. The leaders of human space, led by Commander Alara Voss, knew that the moment of reckoning would come. The Empire might retreat this time, but it would test humanity again. Alara stood on the bridge of the Pioneer, watching the stars stretch endlessly into the unknown. She thought of the colonies scattered across human-controlled space, of the fleets and drones, of the pilots like Lena Dre who had shown courage beyond their years. Humanity had survived its first true test, but survival alone was not enough. They had to prove, once and for all, that humans were a species that could not be underestimated. Lieutenant Rin approached, carrying reports from every sector. "Commander, we've received updates from all our fleets. Every encounter, every exercise, every engagement has strengthened our defenses. The Empire is reconsidering its movements. They're hesitant, cautious, and some of their commanders are questioning the wisdom of further aggression." Alara nodded. "Good. That hesitation is a weapon. It gives us time to prepare, to teach, and to solidify our reputation. Humans do not strike first, but we are ready to respond decisively if threatened. That alone is enough to make even the largest empires pause. Meanwhile, Dr. Kale Marn monitored the adaptive drones across human space. Their intelligence had grown exponentially since the first skirmishes. They now predicted enemy movements with uncanny accuracy, suggesting strategies that allowed humans to counter large fleets with minimal resources. Kale smiled faintly. They cannot outthink us. The Empire is large, yes, but we are clever, and cleverness wins where size cannot. Alara turned to him. And that is why humans endure. Not through sheer numbers, not through overwhelming power, but through intelligence, unity, and courage. The Empire may never understand fully, but that is our advantage. Across the galaxy, Empire fleets moved cautiously, their confidence shaken. For centuries, they had absorbed worlds without resistance, relying on diplomacy, intimidation, or the assumption that most species would submit. Humans had defied all assumptions. Reports of previous skirmishes had spread among Imperial commanders. Whispers of human ingenuity, adaptability, and courage circulated through every ship and council hall. Viral, the metallic-skinned envoy who had observed humans before, returned once more. This time, the visit was not just diplomatic, it was cautious reconnaissance. Its voice carried a note of respect. Commander Voss, your species continues to defy expectations. We acknowledge your capability and your willingness to defend yourselves. You have proven that underestimation is dangerous. Alara regarded Viral calmly. We do not seek war. Humans have always sought growth, understanding, and survival, but we will defend ourselves and we will not yield. Let this be a lesson. Humans are clever, resilient, and united. Any attempt to control us will fail. Viral's eyes seemed to shimmer thoughtfully. Your message is clear. The Empire will heed it. Perhaps it is time for caution and observation rather than confrontation. Even as humans maintained this diplomatic edge, they continued to prepare. Colonies reinforced defenses, fleets practiced maneuvers, and engineers like Kale refined drones and systems for maximum adaptability. Every individual understood their role in ensuring humanity's survival. From the smallest outpost to the largest warship, every human acted with purpose, intelligence, and foresight. Lena Dre led her squadron in one final exercise before they were called back to Aurora Prime. They flew through asteroid belts and nebulae, practicing evasive maneuvers, flanking, and distraction techniques. The simulations were more than training. They were demonstrations of human creativity and strategic thinking. Remember, Alara said over the comms, we are not reckless. We do not provoke unnecessarily, but we are always ready. And if the Empire miscalculates, they will learn what humans are capable of. The fleets returned to the main system, where Alara and Kale reviewed the latest data. The Empire's movements were cautious, almost hesitant. Humans had done what no other species had ever done. They had forced the galaxy's largest civilization to respect and fear their intelligence without initiating full-scale conflict. This is unprecedented, Kale said. They've never been challenged like this before. Humans have made them reconsider everything. Alara nodded. And that is the point. Humans survive not because of brute strength, but because of thought, courage, and unity. The Empire may have fleets larger than ours, but intelligence cannot be measured by numbers alone. Across the colonies, people celebrated quietly but purposefully. Engineers continued their work, pilots trained tirelessly, and every community understood that their ingenuity was their greatest defense. Humans had survived, adapted, and proven themselves. The Empire's Council, facing reports from multiple sectors, convened in emergency session. They debated for hours, considering options, calculating risks, and attempting to understand humans. Every suggestion acknowledged one simple fact: humans were not like other species. They adapted, they learned, they outmaneuvered, and they survived against impossible odds. One counselor admitted quietly, "We cannot rely on conventional methods with humans. They do not follow patterns, they do not fear as expected, and their ingenuity is unmatched. We must reconsider every plan if we intend to deal with them." Another counselor nodded, solemnly agreeing, "Perhaps we have underestimated them all along. They are not weak, they are not predictable, and they cannot be ignored." Alara received a message from the Empire that day. The tone was cautious, almost respectful. "Commander Voss, your species has shown that it cannot be underestimated. We will avoid direct conflict. Any further actions will be carefully considered. Humanity has proven itself remarkable. We acknowledge your capability." Alara read the message aloud to her team. "They understand now," she said. "Humans are not weak. Humans are clever, united, and fearless. And they know that we will not yield when threatened." Lena Dre smiled. "We didn't just survive, Commander, we made them think. We made them respect us." "Exactly," Alara said. "And respect is as important as victory. Humans do not need to destroy to be acknowledged. We show strength in intelligence, unity, and preparation. That is how we protect ourselves, and how we earn our place in the galaxy." Across human space, fleets and colonies remained vigilant. Humans had not become complacent. The Empire's cautious approach was a testament to human ingenuity, but the galaxy was vast and full of unknowns. Humanity continued to train, to learn, and to adapt. Every engagement, even exercises and simulations, reinforced their capabilities. Dr. Kale Marn reflected on the drones, now capable of predicting not just fleet movements but strategies based on the behaviors of multiple species. "Humans are learning faster than any empire can calculate," he said. "That is why they respect us. That is why they hesitate." Alara nodded. "It is not fear they feel, Kale. It is understanding, and understanding is more powerful than any weapon." For the first time, the stars seemed to shine differently over Aurora Prime. Humans had proven themselves. They had faced an empire, defied expectations, and emerged stronger not by force, but by intelligence, courage, and unity. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of what humans could do, and it would not forget. Alara walked along the observation deck, thinking of the billions of humans across countless worlds. Every engineer, pilot, scientist, and citizen had contributed to this moment. Every act of preparation, every simulation, every strategic decision had built a legacy. Humanity had not just survived, they had earned their place in the galaxy. "Commander," Lena said softly, "do you think they'll ever truly understand us?" Alara smiled faintly. "They may never fully understand, and that is our strength. Humans think differently, we adapt, we innovate, we survive. And no empire, no matter how powerful, can predict everything we will do. That is what makes us human, and that is why we endure." Viral's envoy returned one final time to human space. "Commander Voss," it said, "your species is remarkable. The Empire will avoid conflict where possible. Humans have earned respect across the galaxy." Alara's gaze was steady. "Respect is earned, not given. Humans do not seek war, but we are prepared and we will defend ourselves with every ounce of intelligence and courage we possess. Let that be clear." The envoy nodded and departed, leaving humanity in peace for now. But humans knew that vigilance was eternal. They had proven themselves, yes, but the galaxy was vast, full of unknown challenges. And humans would continue to grow, adapt, and survive, prepared for whatever came next. As the fleets returned to their stations, the colonies buzzed with quiet pride. Humans had shown the galaxy that intelligence, courage, and unity were weapons more powerful than fleets and empires. They had survived without unnecessary loss, taught lessons without bloodshed, and earned respect without aggression. Alara stood on the bridge of the Pioneer, gazing at the stars. She thought of the future, of humans exploring further, learning faster, and thriving across countless worlds. Humanity had survived a test unlike any other. They had faced an empire and emerged stronger, wiser, and more united. Humans do not seek war, Alara whispered to herself, but when the galaxy tests us, it will see that we are ready, always clever, always human. And so, across the stars, humanity shone as a symbol of courage, intelligence, and resilience. The Galactic Empire had learned a lesson it would not forget. Humans were clever, adaptable, and united, a species that could survive, endure, and thrive where others might fail. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not by force alone, but by ingenuity, preparation, and unyielding spirit. The galaxy had been warned. The Empire had learned, and humanity stood ready, patient, and clever, prepared for whatever the universe might bring. The stars themselves seemed to shimmer in acknowledgement of a species that had never been predictable and never would be.